Hey guys, you're welcome to this live stream. And I'll just wait for a few seconds so that once one or two people come online, I'll just start. Okay, so even if you join at the middle of the tutorial, you can always rewatch. Okay. So please, once you're online, just hit the like button, say hello, say hi. Okay, we're gonna be starting in the next 1 minute. I don't always like my live videos to linger too on before I start. So please, if you can hear me, just type I can hear you. If you can't hear me, say I can't hear you. Then feel free to tell me where you're watching me from. This evening, we're going to be making a palazzo. So this is what I want to show us how to cut. Can we see that? And apparently, I noticed that a couple of us like to do freehand. So I'll be showing us how to cut this on freehand. Okay, this is quite different from what we do in my online class. In my online class, we use strictly patterns. Okay, but this is like a free trouser that we could actually do freehand. Okay, so but please help me say I can hear you. I'm watching from Africa, from wherever. Hello, hi. Just say something and then hit the like button, please. And then do me a favor. You can share the posts so that other people can watch. Okay. So I'll be starting in the next 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I don't want to start and then people are taking me back, asking me questions. Okay. So in the next 1 minute, count down to 60 seconds and then we just start. Okay. So, yeah, please, can you hear me? Can you hear me, please? Please, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, I believe you can hear me. So, um, we'll just start right away. Yeah, we'll start right away. So, we are learning how to cut this palazzo that I showed us in the picture. Let me show us once again. So this is what we're learning how to cut. Okay. So quickly, I don't want this video to be too long. So I have my fabric already folded here. So we're cutting the front first. Okay. So I have my fabric folded into two. Mind you, this is freehand. This is freehand. Yeah. So the fabric is folded into two. Okay. And the length I'm working with is 44 inches aside seam allowance because I want my own to be floor length, so you can increase or reduce those. Do what works for you. So my fabric is on fold, okay, and I don't know whether we can see the line. So the first line I have here is my waistline, and because I'm drafting directly on the fabric, I've left space for seam allowance. Okay, then now after the waistline, the next line you should have is the hip line. So usually, and it's called hip depth. Distance from waist to hip line is called hip depth. Okay. So except you're a very tall person, hip depth is usually between 8 and 9 inches. Okay. Yes. So if your hip is anything from 42, you can do 8.5. If your hip is as much as 44, 46, then you can do 9 inches. My own hip is for 42. So I'm going to do 8.5. So this is 8.5 inches. So I'm trying to get my hip line. So this is my hip line. Okay. So I have waistline, hip line, right? Okay. Now the next line is supposed to be your crouch depth. Now crouch depth, ideally, if you're drafting patterns or you're drafting a basic pant, a basic pant is fitted, not pencil, but it's fitted. So ideally, if you're drafting a basic pant, okay, your crouch depth is supposed to be your hip circumference divided by 4. So now my own hip circumference is 42, right? So ideally, my crouch depth should be 42 divided by 4. So if your own hip is 40, that will be 40 divided by 4. If your hip is 60, 60, whatever your hip is divided by 4, that will give you your own crouch depth. So ideally, my crouch depth from my waist is supposed to be 10.5. But looking at the picture, okay, this trouser is a free trouser. Let me bring it very close. Can you see? Even around the crotch area, I can see that it's a bit free, meaning you will not use your exact um sorry, you won't use your exact crouch depth measurement. So I made my own crouch depth to be 12 instead of 10.5. So I have a bit of allowance. It's a free trouser. Okay, so this is waist, hip, crouch line, and of course the hemline is all the way down. Okay, so now the first thing you want to do is you want to draw a line here, because I want like a margin here. So what I did was I left about 2 inches away from the edge of my fabric, so that I will be able to create space for seam allowance when I'm cutting this out. Okay, so please, what I'm doing now has nothing to do with the measurement though. I'm just leaving, when we're in secondary school or primary school, they'll say you should leave a margin before you start writing. So I'm just leaving a margin about 2 inches. Okay? And then because it's a palazzo, I don't need my knee line. I don't need the knee line for this trouser. I don't need it. Okay, so now on the crouch line, I'm going to from the beginning of this my margin here, I'm going to mark quarter of my hip circumference. Okay, so if you look at the picture very closely, it's not fitted around the hip. It's not fitted. So ideally, quarter of my hip is 10.5, which is 42. Okay, so I'm going to make it 11 because it's not a fitted pant. So I'm going to make it 11 so that after sewing, it will have some allowance. Okay, so this is quarter, this is 11. Then I'll still come to the waistline here too. Still from my margin. Okay. Why did I leave this margin here? So that we can add seam allowance when we're cutting the trouser out. That's just it for seam allowance. So from my waistline, I'll still mark quarter of the hip too. Okay. So I'm using 11. If you don't want your own to be free, you can use your original measurements. Okay. So this is 11. Okay. Are we good? So I'm here too. So same thing. So I have cut out my hip measurement on the waist, cut out my hip measurement on the crouch. Okay. Now still on the crouch line, there's something we call crouch extension. So for the front crouch extension is your hip circumference divided by 20. Okay. So my original hip circumference is 42. Okay, divided by 20, so that's about 4.2. So what am I saying? That's about 2.1. Sorry, 42 divided by 20 is 2.1. Am I correct? Yes. So I'll approximate it to 2.5. So if your hip is 40, whatever your hip is, you divide it by 20 to give you your front crouch extension. Okay, I hope we're seeing what I'm doing now. Okay, let me move my camera. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so from where my hip measurement ends here on the crouch line, I measured 2.5 for my crouch extension. Okay, then I'll now use my ruler to draw the crouch. My curved ruler, I beg your pardon. Like this. Okay. So if I was drafting a regular pant, what I will have on the waistline here is my waist measurements. But this part gathers around the waist. Okay. So what I have here is the same measurement I have on my hip is what I have on the waistline. Okay. So those of you that like freehand, I know you're happy now. So I'll just move this upward a bit. Now, still on my crouch line here, I want to determine my crease line. How that is very easy. So what I'll do is from the beginning of my hip measurement here. No, this side is our margin. From here, I want to measure from here up to where I have my craft extension and divide it by 2. So this is 13.5. I'll fold my tape into 2 because I want to get the center. Okay, you don't need to start calculating anything, just fold the tape and then the tape will give you the middle. So this is the middle here. This is the middle here. Actually, in the real sense, we don't actually need this crease line for this particular trouser because it's a palazzo. But anyways, it's okay. So now I'm going to take my camera down to the hemline now. So for this particular trouser now, I've already added my seam allowance. So what I'm doing right now, I'll still show you guys. I'm just still marking my 2 inches for the margin we marked at the beginning. Okay, the 2 inches margin. What I'm trying to do. So even if you are someone that uses freehand, you still need to learn how to use your ruler and the rest. Don't just be drawing lines anyhow. When you now finish sewing, your trouser will not be looking very funny, you know. So irrespective, still, even if you are still doing freehand with chalk and fabric, still use your ruler, still use your curve. There is nothing wrong with freehand. It just has limitations. That's all. Nothing wrong with freehand. Okay, so I just extended my margin. Okay, so sorry, my table is very small. So this is the hemline of my pants here. Can you see? No, you can't see. Let me. This is the hemline of my pants. Okay, so don't forget this is the margin. That 2 inches margin that we removed. So this is where all our measurement is starting from, right? So because it's a palazzo, let me show us again. This is how the style looks like. Can you see? You see that the down it looks straight from the hip all the way down. Okay, then it's gathered around the waist. So what that means is the same measurement on the crouch line is what we'll put here. Or if you don't want it to be too full, you can reduce it. So if you remember, when I was measuring the crease line, let me show us again. When I was measuring the crease line, that is the distance from here to here. I got 13.5. So I'm going to impute the same measurement on the hemline. Okay? Same measurement on the hemline. So from this, my margin here, I'm going to measure 13.5, which is the same thing I got on my own hemline. So please, please, don't go and say, Lala said she used 13. You're not going to use 13. Work with your own measurements, please. So this is my 13.5 here. Can you see? Here. So because my ruler is small, okay, I don't have a long ruler, I'll just mark 13.5 in bits so that I can use my short ruler to join it together. Okay, that's another trick. If you don't have a long ruler, just mark whatever you're marking in short bits. Then I can use my ruler to mark it and join it together. So please, if you have question, just type it in the comment section. So what I want to do now, sorry, my table is very small. Now I miss Nigeria. And in Nigeria, I had a very big cutting table. Anyways, don't worry, very soon I'll get a very big cutting table. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I want to link these points straight down. Already, since I have the same measurement I have from here to here is what I have down. So I'll just link it together. And like I said, I don't have a long ruler. Okay, so since I've already marked the 13.5 in short bits, I can just go ahead and use my short ruler to join it. And then if you've been listening to me very well, I didn't add any seam allowance yet. Okay, is you see people that know me to be cutting this on freehand. Usually I don't draft my trouser on freehand. I do pattern, but for this particular style it's fine. But trust me, if you join our trouser class, okay, if you're drafting an office pants, corporate pants, you have to use pattern. That's the truth, okay? And that class is way more loaded. It's a cutting and sewing tutorial, way loaded. And I said the first 100 people to register will pay 3,000. So if you're interested, I'll put the link in the description box when I'm done with the video. Okay, so this is how it looks like now. So let me show us. So can we see? This is it, and then it's straight all the way down. So now I'm going to cut out, and then we'll use this to cut the back. Please, the front and back pattern are not the same, because the back cut extension is different from the front cut extension. So just hold on, I'll soon finish, okay? So let me get my scissors, and I really need to be fast because I have a small baby that can just start crying any moment. So let me get my scissors and I'll be back. Sorry. Okay guys, so now don't forget that everything we did was with original measurements. So now I'm going to be adding seam allowance. Okay, so this is it. On the waistline, I'll be adding 1/2 inch seam allowance. On the crotch area here, this is the front. I'll add 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then the out seam, which is the side seam, I'll add 1 inch. And same thing with my inseam here. My inseam, I'll be adding 1 inch seam allowance. Okay, so just watch me cut it out. So this is 1/2 inch here. And I suppose this trouser has a pocket. Okay, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that this night because, like I said, I have a baby. So when I'm doing videos this time around, I'm always very cautious of that. Okay, so you can see my 1/2 inch seam allowance here, 1/2 inch here. Then this is where my measurement ends. I'll add 1 inch. So please make sure you measure it. Sorry, I know how to gauge. I know how to gauge the measurement with my eyes, but you need to measure your own, please. And then make sure you pin everything down. Don't form experts. Always work with your pins, please. I've been sewing for more than 14 years. I still work with my pins, okay? So don't form experts. Now, so for the inseam, oh sorry, please, inseam is just 1/2 inch. It's only the side seam that is 1 inch. Please pardon me. Inseam is 1/2 inch. Though some people like packing allowance on their clothes, they'll pack allowance as if I don't know, So it's 1/2 inch, please. So this is my 1/2 inch. Just cutting out. So I hope we are following, and I hope my explanation is detailed enough. Though I always tell people what I teach on YouTube is like 10/100 compared to my online class. That's the truth. 10/100. But then if you are attentive, you still gain something sharp. Okay? So my side seam allowance is 1 inch. Okay, like I said, make sure you measure your own. Don't come around. Don't form expert like me. I have some level of experience, so I could actually gauge if it's up to 1 inch or not. Okay. So this is my front. This is the front piece here. So when you want to sew, like I said, my total length is 44. And this is like 43.5 already, but I'm going to be taking like 1.5 inch in as my hemming. Okay, then I'll be adding my normal straight band. For freehand, you cannot have a fitted band for freehand. No, you can't do the band that has invisible darts for freehand. It has to be that normal straight band. So this is the front. Now to cut the back, I'll just quickly fold my fabric again. I will fold my fabric again so that I can cut the back. So So this is my remaining fabric. Okay, I'll just fold like this. So usually the back is always bigger than the front. Yes, it's always bigger, slightly. Though for this particular one, you may not do that because already the measurement is slightly bigger than my normal measurements. Okay, so just fold like this. Fold. So I'm going to be cutting the band separately, which I want to presume we should know how to cut a band. Come on. Just measure your waist circumference and then add some allowance and cut it on fold. Nothing serious about that. So this is, I folded my fabric now. Okay. So before I start to cut out, I'll just quickly place it to see if I have enough allowance, here. Because like I said, the back crouch is longer. Okay. So I'll just still fold it a little bit inside so that I can have enough space. Okay, so I'll just fold here a little bit inward like that. Okay, so what I'll do first, because this is freehand, this freehand thing is not my thing at all. Because if a mistake happens like this, you're in trouble. Okay, so my fabric is already folded. Now what I'll do is I will take the front now and place it here. And what I'll do is I'll first of all trace out the side. My baby is crying already. Oh. Anyways, I'm almost done. And then grandma is here, so no worries. Okay. I always like to manage my fabric. Okay, so I've placed the front on the back. So like I said, I will first of all cut here, the side seam. So I'll just trim any excess I have here. And then one more thing, in my online trouser class, okay, when you're drafting the back pattern of a basic pant, there's a way we normally adjust the center back. The center back is not straight like this one. Okay, there's a way we'll adjust it so that when you wear it, it fits the shape of your body. But we can't do this one. We can't do that here because we're doing freehand one. The second is a free pant, so it's not really important. Okay, so now good. The only thing now we're altering to the back pattern now is the crouch extension. Okay, so what I'll do is, this is my crouch line. This is my crouch line here. I'll just trace it like this. Can you see that? I'll trace it. Okay, then still starting from where my hip measurement starts here. Okay, we're going to calculate the back crouch extension, which is your hip circumference divided by 10. So my circumference is 42. 42 divided by 10 is 4.2. So I'll just make it 4.5. So don't forget, front crouch extension is hip divided by 20. Back crouch extension is hip divided by 10. So my hip divided by 10 is 4.2. I'll approximate it to 4.25 since it's a free it's a free trouser. So I'll start my measurement from here. So this is, I'll make it 4.5 approximately. This is where it stops. Can you see that? Right? Then what I want to do now is I want to trace out this line. This line here now. I want to trace it to the back. So to be very, I'll just do this first. This part is my seam allowance, but I need the original measurements. Or better still, okay, let me not confuse us. What I'll do is now is I'll just trace this part out. Let me not confuse us. Let me bring the camera closer. I don't want to confuse us. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just tracing out, on the front pattern, we have seam allowance already, and it has to reflect on the back too. So I'll just trace here, trace it like that. Okay, up till this point here. So my seam allowance is already added. Then this is where my back clout extension ends. But when I want to cut this back now, I still need to add my ½ inch here for joining, because this place is where the original back cut extension ends. I still need to add my extra ½ inch here. Okay? So now for the hemline, what I'll do now is, after the front here, what I have here, this is almost this is almost 2 inches. So I'll also come to the hemline here so that I don't have different things. I'll come to the hemline here. Okay. After where the fabric stops here. This is where the fabric stops. Okay. I will also add that 2 inches at the top. Everything must rhyme. You cannot just do mago. So because I don't have a long ruler, okay, I'll just mark my 2 inches in bits, small bits, so that I can join it together. Small bits like that, small bits. So this is my ruler. I'll just link everything together. So with this 2 inch now, I have added the seam allowance for the back pattern too. Okay. So this is freehand, in case we have people that have done my online class and they are wondering, but Lala, this one is different, but this is freehand. Okay. So that's all for the back. That's all for the back. So I'll just cut out now. So still using my front pattern, I will now cut out the back. Somebody might want to ask, don't we need that? No, you don't need that, because it's pleated. It's because it's already late. Maybe I'll probably do a recorded video on how to sew it. I don't know. Depends on how you respond to the video. Yes. Each time I do a cutting video and people don't respond by watching or something, I don't bother doing the video, because it takes a lot of time to shoot videos and then people are not watching. So it means that people are not interested in that particular video. That's what it means. Okay? So here. So we have our front 2 pieces, back 2 pieces. So our 2 pieces are ready. Let me quickly show us how to cut. How to cut the band. That's like the simplest part of the whole stuff. So to cut the band, you measure your waist circumference. So my own waist is 30 inches. Let me just confirm. I don't know that I've added it. Let me confirm if I can cut out the wrong band. Yeah, my waist is 30. So what I'll do is I'm going to fold this fabric into 2 like this. Okay. So usually the height of a band, I don't know whether we can see what I'm doing. The height, this is okay, let me place it like this so that we can see. Okay, so I folded this, usually Ankara, the length of Ankara is 44. So this is even more than what I want. You can see on fold. So this is like 22 on fold. So now the width of my band. Sorry, let me make this place very straight. I don't want to start having any shortage. Okay, so usually the width of, I always use 2 inches for the width of my band. But you're still going to fold the band into 2, so that's 4 inches. And you still need seam allowance, making that's 1 inch, making 5 inches. So from here, I'm going to measure 5 inches. So I'll do it in small bits since I don't have a long ruler. In small bits. Okay, so from here to here is 5 inches. I'm just going to join it together like so. I don't know whether you can see. If you have any questions, you can ask because I'm almost ending the tutorial. Okay? So, already, I said my waist is 30. Okay? So, because I folded Ankara into two, let me measure. So, 30 on fold should give me 15. So, this is 15. I even have extra. This is 15. Okay? Then I'll add 1 inch for, what's it called? 1 inch for zipper allowance. I forgot to mention that the back. So this is 15, then 1 inch for zipper allowance. The back, when we're cutting the back, the center back, we're supposed to add 1 inch to the crotch area because of the zipper allowance at the back. Okay, but already we have excess on the waist on the pattern, so we can just take half inch from that. Okay, so this is my band. This is my band. So I'm just going to trim off this little excess here. Okay, so this is how the band is going to look like. Let me show. So it's going to be like this. Can you see? So I'm going to add stay to this. I'll add stay and then fold it. So on fold now, you know it was 5 inches. When you fold it, it becomes what, 2.5. Then after sewing with half inch, it becomes 2 inches. So that's how it works. So now what I have here now is 32. By the time I take 1 inch for zipper here and 1 inch here, I'm left with 30 inches. So it's as simple as that. I think the trouser has pockets, but I don't think I can do that this night. Sorry. That one will take another long time. Okay, so I'll use it for my pockets. Yeah, so if you want to learn how to sew a basic pants, basic trouser with pockets, high waist, with pattern and everything, it's available in your online class. And for those that are registering, the first 100 are paying 3,000. That class is 5,000 naira. Okay, so I hope you're able to learn. Let me go through the comment and see if there's any question before I end the video. So yeah, you have time to ask your question now, please. I'm done with I'm done with the tutorial for this night. I think I've spent about almost 45 minutes or thereabouts. Okay, yeah, so leave your questions, please. I'm here for the next few minutes. It depends on whether we ask questions or not. So please, any question, any question, any question, please. Questions, questions. Okay, so it seems like there's no question. Okay, let me still hold on. Do we have any question, please? So I want to assume that we understood the tutorial. Okay, so thank you for your time. I'm going to leave the replay in case you missed out any detail, and you can always rewatch. Thank you.